All right, today we're jumping into a very specific, very data-driven system for football betting. It's called the Bet Baron over 2.5 strategy, and it's all about a method that promises to replace those gut feelings and pure guesswork with some cold, hard numbers.
So here's the big question, right? The one every bettor asks. Can you actually use math to get a real edge? Or is it all just luck? Well, the strategy we're breaking down today makes a pretty bold claim. It says the secret is the math.
So what exactly is this strategy? Well, at its heart, it's a system built to do one thing and one thing only. Find football games where it's statistically very likely that we're going to see at least 3 goals. It completely zeroes in on the over 2.5 goals market and uses a really strict set of rules to find its targets. First off, let's talk about what makes this a truly mathematical system. The whole point here is to take emotion, your gut instincts, and just toss them right out the window. This has nothing to do with picking your favorite team. It's all about a disciplined approach that uses hard data to find that little bit of an edge. And to get this data, it's actually pretty simple. The system leans on just 2 specific websites. All the statistical heavy lifting, all the number crunching, that happens on a site called WinDrawWin. Then, for the final check, you hop over to the betting platform Bet365. That 2-step process is basically the engine that drives this whole thing. Okay, now we're getting to the real heart of the system, the 3 golden rules. And let me be clear, these are not suggestions. They are rock-solid, non-negotiable filters. For games even be on the radar, it can't just meet 1 or 2 of these. It absolutely has to pass all 3. A good way to picture it is like a really tight funnel. You can pour all of the day's matches into the top, but only a tiny handful are going to make it out the other side. And if a game trips up on even one of these odds-based tests, it's gone. Immediately. No second chances. Okay, so here they are, the 3 crucial tests. Notice the first 2, you do these on WinDrawWin. First up, the over 2.5 goals odds have to fall into this super tight window between 1.50 and 1.67. Second, the both teams to score odds, they gotta be 1.67 or even lower. That tells us that both teams are expected to find the back of the net. Then for that final stamp of approval, you switch over to Bet365. The over 3.5 goals odds must be 2.63 or less. This is the ultimate confirmation. It tells you that even a 4-goal game isn't considered a long shot.
Let's just focus on that first key number for a second, 1.67. Remember that one. It's the absolute maximum, the ceiling for those first 2 checks you do on WinDrawWin. You can think of it like a safety rail. Sticking to that number keeps you away from games where the odds are just getting a little too risky. And then there's the other magic number, 2.63. This is for that final check over on Bet365. And the logic behind this is actually kind of brilliant. If the odds for an even bigger goal fest, over 3.5 goals, are still pretty low, well, that's a huge green light. It's a massive confirmation that getting to 3 goals should be very, very doable. Okay, so we've got the rules down, but what does this look like in practice? How do you actually use this stuff day to day? Well, it all boils down to a really simple, repeatable 4-step workflow. Honestly, the daily routine is super straightforward. Step 1 is selection. You just go on WinDrawWin and see what games are on for the day. Step 2 is filtering. You apply those strict odds rules we just covered. Step 3 is validation. Anything that's left, you take it over to Bet365 for that final odds check. And only then, only if a game has jumped through every single one of those hoops, do you get to step 4, placing the bet. Now listen up, because this next part might just be the single most important rule in this entire system. The strategy is crystal clear on this. You back each qualifying match as a single bet. Never, ever, ever combine them into an accumulator. The whole philosophy is about the long game, slow, steady profits. It's the complete opposite of chasing a massive lottery ticket payout. So we've gone through the what, the rules, and the how, the workflow. But now let's talk about the why. Understanding the philosophy behind all this is what really separates a system like this from just randomly placing bets. And this really lays out the 2 totally different mindsets. On one side, you've got this system, which is all about steady, disciplined profit over the long haul. And on the other side, that's the accumulator chase. That's all about high risk, hoping for that one gigantic payout that, let's be honest, almost never happens. So if we boil it all down, what are we left with? Well, first, it's about discipline through math, not making bets with your heart. Second, it's about smart risk management by sticking to those really specific odds. It's also about preferring consistency over chasing some huge, flashy win. Think tortoise, not the hare. And finally, because of those rules, it naturally weeds out the super obvious favorites and the crazy long shots. It lives in that sweet spot right in the middle. Okay, before we wrap this up, let's just do one last rapid-fire recap. Seriously, if you only take away one thing from all this, make it what's coming up next.
All right, here it is, the whole strategy in a nutshell. On WinDrawWin, over 2.5 odds have to be between 1.50 and 1.67. Also on WinDrawWin, both teams to score has to be 1.67 or lower. Then you jump to Bet365, where the over 3.5 odds gotta be 2.63 or lower. And the golden rule, singles only. That's the entire playbook. And this whole thing kind of leaves us with one big final question to chew on. Whether you love the specific system or not, it points to a much larger trend. As data gets better and easier for everyone to access, is this kind of disciplined, numbers-first approach, is that the future of betting? It's an interesting thought, right?